What is up, YouTube? It is Daiki or Daiki Style Gaming, and I'm here after the video's already recorded because I forgot to add a crucial section to this video, the main reason why I decided to make this video in the first place. So before I resume the video, I'm going to add a bit of context to what happened and why I decided to make this video. So for some of you that don't know, we are getting our caches, or the Elysian caches, dropping in Anthem. Those were meant to be the items that drop all of your vanity items. The devs have even mentioned it on stream that it would drop armor, vinyls, different types of cosmetics and things like that. Well, just a couple days ago, it turns out that Ben Irving said that they won't be dropping any armor in the game. So my initial response was to make a tweet about it. And this was my tweet. I'm genuinely upset. This whole time players have been expecting armor to drop in the loot pools for these caches, to add more loot to farm in this looter shooter. But turns out, nope, this is a major step backwards. And though I wasn't bashing Anthem, I was giving it a criticism because again, this is a step backwards. A lot of players' main concerns with this game is the loot. So the fact that they're not actually adding more diverse loot to the loot pools is very disheartening and is a step backwards for this game. But even though I felt like my tweet was rather tame in comparison to some of the YouTube hate channels that just love bashing Anthem, one jackass from Twitter thought that I was being a little too hard with my tweet, thus going as far to say, and I quote, "Get the sand out of your vagina and chill. They didn't say that there won't be any new armor available. Fuck baby back bitch ass YouTuber, man. Jeez." So aside from him being clearly a sexist and wrong, the devs did say, and I quote from Ben Irving, there are no armor packs in the Elysian caches. But I don't know if this dumbass can read or not, but the devs did confirm that we would be getting them in Elysian caches both on Twitter and in one of their past dev streams. And now the devs are saying that we won't be getting armor packs in these Elysian caches in game. But back to this jackass, because I think he felt like he had me in a gotcha moment. Because he felt the need to retweet at me again saying, "Don't you cover Destiny as well?" And clearly, this man has not been to my channel in over a year because that was the last time I covered Destiny on my channel. And do you want to know why that was the last time I covered Destiny on my channel? Because I do not support that game in any way, and I don't want it on my channel, and I don't want people to see it on my channel. I don't respect the greedy practices, the publishers, and everything else associated with that game. Then he went to go on in that same tweet saying, during D1 times, they get way more good reports and patience than Anthem making their first go round. And that tweet right there is what led me to assume that this dude must be at least 12 years old. Because if you are that stupid to not remember the shit show that was Destiny 1, Vanilla Destiny's launch, you are an idiot. And I'm just gonna say that plain and simple. Don't go back and watch IGN's videos where they were paid to promote the game. But go back and watch any game reviewer that actually covered Destiny 1. They know that that game was a shit show at launch, and most players, even hardcore Destiny players like myself back in the day, will say that it was, because the game didn't get better until 8 months later during the April update, and that was only to promote a Taken King. So for this person to be stupid enough to say that Destiny didn't get a hard time or as hard of a time as Anthem is getting is complete bullshit. But this dumbass's comments and the tweets that we got from the devs were the catalyst on why I wanted to make this video finally. Now I had a video planned talking about Anthem's endgame and things that could be fixed with it, but I decided to tie it into this video as well and talk about some of the major reasons why Anthem is failing and why it's slowly dying. Now I'm gonna be real with most of y'all because I know most of my subs are Anthem fans. This video might not be what you want to hear, but I only speak the truth and what I personally feel is wrong with this game. I'm giving fair criticisms and also options to fix some of the mistakes that this game is currently being plagued with. So yes, I am letting you know in advance that this is probably the most harsh I've critiqued or even criticized Anthem to this date, but that doesn't mean that I absolutely hate this game. This game has the potential to be better, but in its current state and with so many missteps, it's going to take a very long time, it seems. I'm hoping the devs can step their game up and fix this game fast enough before too many people leave and this game ends up dying faster than they can fix it. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you guys get back to the video that I recorded earlier. Enjoy the rest of the video. Alright YouTube, this intro is going to be slightly different because I'm getting straight into it, and this is probably the first video I've ever made on the channel without a script. But so many things have pushed me over the edge with Anthem that it's got to the point where it's like, F it, I gotta talk about it at this point. And then with one of the tweets that we got yesterday from the devs, it's like, yeah, this is unignorable at this point, and the response that we've got from some of the content creators in the Anthem community and even fans kind of blows my mind right now. And I'm not an EA Game Changers or affiliated with EA in any way, so I can safely say that this video is not going to be sucking EA or BioWare's dick. I'm going to be telling you like it is at this point. Regardless of how you feel about the game or not, even if you're subbed to the channel because of my Anthem content, I feel like it's my right to tell you how I personally feel about the game and the issues that this game are still plagued with. So for those of you who are new, the name is Daiki or Daiki Style Gaming, and I'm going to be talking about EA and BioWare and why they're slowly killing Anthem and the player's motivation to continue to play this game. Now honestly, I hate that I've even used the term killed, but at this point, that's where Anthem stands. I honestly never wanted to use the term this game was killed or murdered, but Anthem is slowly dying, and I think the fans are finally beginning to understand and see why. But before I get into the tweet from yesterday, I want to start with this game's biggest problem, and its worst problem that is killing this game, and it is the lack of endgame. Now, most people who have probably come to my streams or seen me talk about Destiny know that I left Destiny 2 because of that same reason. The lack of endgame, the lack of content, there was nothing to do and everything was behind a paywall. And it wouldn't be fair for me to critique a game like Destiny and not critique a game in the same genre like Anthem that has the exact same problems. Now, I mentioned in my Anthem review, I took out my in-game portion of the review because I wanted to make a separate video on it. Well, now I'm going to put part of that in this video because that is, again, the major issue with this game, which is its in-game or lack thereof. But before I go into the full in-game, let me at least talk about what I expect from a looter shooter and most likely most other players as well. Now for me, when it comes to looter shooters like Destiny, Borderlands, The Division, Warframe, the purpose of the game is to have a reason to keep coming back, whether it's to grind for new items, to farm a new weapon, crafting new components, getting new armor, getting new gear, getting new warframes, and things along that nature. But the game must also be diverse enough that it gives the player enough to do where they don't feel burnt out or get tired running the same missions over and over again. Whether it's a game like Destiny where you have multiple worlds to explore, you have Crucible, you had Trials at one point, you had Iron Banner, Faction Rally, seasonal events, and so much more. Or games like Warframe where you have tons of planets to explore, multiple boss battles. At one point you had 2 different raids in the game as well. You have 2 open world areas with massive boss fights that are extremely rewarding. It has a constantly evolving story that is continued to be added upon year after year. You have junction fights, sanctuary onslaught, sorties, syndicate missions, PvP, and again, so much more. Now, when we talk about Anthem, what does Anthem have in terms of its endgame? Some challenges to do for coins, which is nice, but it's not a true endgame. It's something that you do while playing the game. Then they have legendary contracts, 3 that you can do a day, and 3 strongholds, 1 being a repeated mission from the game. And then that's it. That is the extent of Anthem's endgame currently. Every day I decide to hop onto Anthem, I play for about 2 hours and then I don't touch it for the rest of the day, because currently there's no reason to continue to play. I run my 3 legendary contracts a day, and then I run a stronghold until I get a legendary, and once I get that legendary, I hop off the game because legendaries are so sparse in this game, I know it'll be a few more hours before I even get another one. So it's pointless for me to waste time farming hours for another legendary, the only thing that can actually level up my javelin, just to be disappointed or in some cases get a duplicate, and I'll go into that a little later as well. So when it comes to Anthem's endgame, there's not enough engaging things to do that constantly wants to bring the players back day to day. But there are some things that can compensate for the endgame, which is the loot. Is the loot worth the grind for the endgame or what little endgame there is? In cases like Destiny, where I mentioned the endgame was pretty lackluster, but just about everything in the game gave you something unique. Whether it was Crucible, you got Crucible armor and Crucible weapons. If you ran the raid, you got raid weapons and raid armor. Collecting tokens on planets gave you specific planet weapons and planet armor as well. Trials would give you specific armor and specific weapons also. And then the same could be said with new DLC expansions as well. Then a game like Warframe, where things are more reliant on RNG rather than specific locations, it's still enough of a grind and enough of a reason to keep farming to get either a special mod, special resource, a special item drop, or blueprints or components and things like that from each mission. Now when we look at Anthem, again, there's two things to currently do in this game: legendary contracts and strongholds. And what do you get from legendary contracts? The same exact small loot pool of items that you'd be getting from strongholds as well. Well, what about higher difficulties? Are there rare items to get in that? I know Destiny has prestige raids that give you different weapons and different armors. Well, in Anthem, no. No matter how high the difficulty you go, you're getting the same weapons, same components, with the same types of random roll stats. Currently, there is no incentive to even run some of the higher level missions. Even though I know there is an update that is coming that's supposed to be increasing the loot drops, you are still going to be getting the same kind of loot that you could get from a legendary contract or a stronghold. And outside of easy to hard and then Grandmaster 1 to 3, there's not much difference in terms of loot that you get. And then to top it off, with really bad RNG, it makes the grind feel pointless. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, I was talking about getting duplicate items and how it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the grind. Farming hours for a rare item, whether it be a masterwork or legendary, just to finally get one and to find out that it's a duplicate, kind of just is disheartening and defeats the player emotionally, I feel like. I know many players at this point have got multiple and countless numbers of duplicate masterworks, but I had the fate to get a duplicate legendary. Now keep in mind, I have 8 legendaries in the game, and I have no legendaries for my Colossus, no legendaries for my Interceptor, or no legendaries for my Ranger. So within this vast loot pool of legendary items that could possibly drop, I managed to get a duplicate on my 9th legendary drop. Like 20, 30, or even 50 legendaries in, I understand getting a duplicate. But having 8 legendaries and getting a duplicate this early in the game, that's the most disheartening thing, period. And it completely made me turn off my PlayStation. I even tweeted about it because it was ridiculous that this early in the game, having this little legendaries, I'm already getting duplicates, as rare as legendary drops are in this game. Then to top it off, I was like, you know what? Well, let's see if it's at least rewarding to delete a duplicate. Or a duplicate legendary, I should say. And no, it's not. You get one masterwork ember and 2 javelin parts. Breaking down the hardest and rarest tier item to get in the game gives you 1 masterwork ember and 2 javelin parts. Wow. That's all I have to say to that. That just blows my mind that that's the extent of what you get back for breaking down an item like that. But honestly, let's go a step further. Let's talk about, is the loot itself even worth the grind? What do you actually get in terms of loot by completing these missions? Most people know this already, but for those who don't, you get components, which are extremely interchangeable, but for the most part, once you have your set components, you'll probably never be using any of the other ones you get. You have by far the weakest selection of weapons to choose from. Some have different stats, but at the end of the day, they all just shoot a bullet. None of them are unique. They're not laser beams, they're not flamethrowers, they're not energy rifles, they're all just projectile based guns. And then every javelin has the same 5 abilities that you can get in either masterwork or legendaries along with the lower rarities, and then you have 2 support abilities, and for the most part, one is always better than the other, and currently the highest rarity they drop at is epics, so you can't even get them in a masterwork or a legendary. But what about the armor? The main reason why I even decided to make this video. How is the armor in the game? Well, if you like to buy armor, it's okay. It's not the best, it's not the most changing or drastic looking armor, but it's decent enough if you manage to farm enough coins a week to get it, which by the end of your challenges, you won't even have enough coins to buy any of the newer ones. But what about the ones that drop in game, you might be asking? Well, there are none. There are absolutely no armor drops in the game. In a game that is a looter shooter, you don't have good loot. That blows my mind that any looter shooter doesn't have armor drops in a game. Cosmetic drops at that, but yes, I know people are going to be like, but the caches are coming out, there'll be cosmetics. Well, according to the devs, there's going to be no armor drops in those chests, and they'll just be purely vinyls, a couple of emotes, and some arrival animations. That's what you're farming for by beating the final bosses of higher level strongholds. Vinyls that most players don't wear, an arrival animation that you only see at the very beginning of starting a mission, and then an emote that most people really don't even use. But with a game that's in third person and that constantly lets you look at and observe your javelin at all times, you can't even get cosmetic drops, so you're essentially looking at the same javelin at all times. Now again, yes, there are the occasional armor packs in the market. They pop up randomly on a 2-day cycle, meaning if you don't farm up the 61,000 coins you need to get an armor pack within those 2 days, you're pretty much shit out of luck until you hope they bring it back and you hope you have enough coins to get it at that point. Then to add icing on the BS cake, which is already the cosmetic armor, just last week in the market, there was a Scar armor set for the Storm and the Ranger. Yes, a Scar themed armor set for the Storm and the Ranger that you had to buy. Now, genuinely, I'm all for paid cosmetics in a game where everything else is going to be free. But the fact that you have boss-specific armor as a paid item rather than a drop in a stronghold blows my mind. You have 3 strongholds in game. You have your Scar Ascari stronghold, you have your Swarm Tyrant stronghold, and you have the Monitor stronghold. Why don't armor drop from those bosses? Especially when clearly you have themed armor around the bosses. Why doesn't that Scar armor that we just got last week drop from the Ascari? It's a Scar themed stronghold. Why don't we get Scar themed items, Scar themed weapons, Scar themed armor? Instead, we get the same loot pool that you'd get if you ran that stronghold on any of the other ones. How about when we play the Monitor stronghold, why don't we get Dominion type weapons, Dominion armor, Dominion exclusives? Or when we run the Swarm Tyrant mission, why don't we get insect-like looking armor, insect weapons that spit elemental acid like the Scorpions do, or Swarm Tyrant type items as well? It blows my mind that a game like this doesn't have specific drops for your bosses. If you go run a strike right now in Destiny, most of the Destiny strike bosses have specific loot that drop for them. If you go run a boss on a Warframe, they all drop either a specific Warframe part. You go run a boss in Anthem right now, you're digging through the exact same loot pool of items that you'd get from any boss in the game. And in a looter shooter game, when your loot fails, your game fails. I know the Anthem community has complained about a bunch of things, and they've forgiven BioWare and EA for a bunch as well. But the one thing that has always been consistent has been the loot, the increased drops, the better loot period. The talk around the Anthem community always returns to loot when it comes to things that need to be fixed about this game. So when we get tweets like this from Chris Robinson, which again, I'm not trying to diss any of the developers, I've met most of them at PAX and talked with them, but when we get tweets like this saying that loot won't be fixed for months, are you sure your game's even going to survive that long, sadly? But I feel like the worst thing about it though is seeing how many people are okay with this and are just accepting this. I remember seeing the tweet that Ben Irving posted saying that there wouldn't be armor in the game, and the worst outrage from fans was, oh, we're disappointed, but we're looking forward to the future. Or you have some of the EA game changers not even mention it because they're too scared to say anything negative about EA. But I feel like as a player, even if you don't agree with everything that is in the game, if you have a community or a following, even if it's a game you cover like Anthem, my channel was built around Anthem, but I'm not scared to say what I feel about Anthem. And I feel like at this moment, the game is dying. And it's sad to say that because this game has so much potential. And every time I watch a new dev stream, I see the devs taking a step forward. But every time they take a step forward, something happens or something that pops up makes them take 3 steps back. And at this pace, Anthem, it just constantly keeps going backwards to the point where how can fans actually expect to see this game get better when you're still fixing mistakes that plague this game post-launch? So I think I'm just going to end the video right there. I know I have a lot more to say, but I see that I've been talking about this for about 16 minutes, and as I said earlier in this video is scriptless. I've just been speaking right off the dome, and I don't want this video to be a 30-minute rant, so I think I'm just going to end it right there. Again, those are my frustrations with the game right now and why I think Anthem is currently slowly dying, and the devs really need to pick up the pace and fix the loot in the game in order for this game to continue to thrive and survive. Because as I said in my game review, Anthem is a good game. I'm not taking that away from it. But in a market where there are great and amazing games, especially when a game like The Division 2 that just came out in your same genre is doing it better than you, how do you expect this game to survive? So again, hopefully Anthem gets better, and again, I'll still keep covering some content on the channel, but it'll be drastically different than what I had planned. I do still have Anthem videos that are coming up this week, like a cheese video for a stronghold, which people might want to check out because I know it'll make farming those new chests coming this week a lot easier. Then I'll be doing a lot more lore related Anthem on this channel, and I might go back to my old news format on this channel that pretty much started as a staple on this channel that damn near every other Anthem content creator copied when they created theirs. But hey, don't worry Anthem fans, you will still be getting your Anthem fix, but I will be covering a lot more different games on this channel. Because outside of lore and completing challenges in Anthem, no video is really worth making on this game at this point. Build videos aren't that fun. Weapons, like I said, all feel the same, so it's pointless to make weapon videos. Components, I'm not going to do videos on just components. So as it stands, there's not much to even really cover in Anthem. So again, I'll still continue to cover it, but I'm definitely shifting my focus to other games that I currently play or love to play, and games that I can't wait to come out, mainly being Mortal Kombat 11, my favorite gaming franchise of all time, and god damn, that Noob Saibot reveal was fucking fantastic. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Thank you all for watching this really off the cuff video. I will catch y'all on the next one. Thanks for the love, thanks for the subs, peace.